Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with a battle report. So this is Game 5 of Battlecry 2017, my Beast Herds versus some Highborn Elves. So we're on Table 3 of the tournament. Both of us have done okay so far. I'd like to say going into this, I really like my opponent's list. I think this is the kind of list that I would play if I played the Highborns. So the scenario objective is you want scoring units in your opponent's deployment zone. And that's normally a good one for an army like mine, where I have core units that can ambush. Should make it easy to get, as long as I'm not really, really dumb about it. So his list. I'm going to go back one. So I don't remember why I did, but I deployed first. And I think I did it so I could just dictate who went first in the game. So I deployed first right in the middle. My opponent took a corner and went over there and deployed really from the board midpoint over to the left. So he's got an eagle behind it, 5 Knights of Rima, a unit of 25 spearmen, or spear elves, or whatever. Next to them, he's got 20 sword masters with the flaming standard, and behind them, he's got some archers. And I want to say he has 2 units of archers back there. He has 1 unit of 12 and another unit of 10. Oh, no, there's a unit of 10 right here next to the hill. Then on the hill, he's got his 11 Queen's Guard, and to the left of them, Reavers. Now behind him, he's got a Frost Phoenix on the left, and then he's got his, it's a Prince on a Young Dragon. And he's got like the Ogre's Sword, 4+ ward, good armor save, and the Potion of Swiftness. And then I think behind, somewhere to the right in this picture, the Swordmasters, or behind him with the archers, he's got his Battle Standard Bearer. So I actually really liked the way he deployed, because he was very, very much aware of my ability to ambush, and so he made sure that I couldn't fit anywhere in there without getting charged by something I really didn't want to get charged by. And did it without necessarily just turtling in the corner. So a lot of thought went into that. I was pretty impressed by it, and it ends up, well, I was going to say screwing me. I think I made a mistake because his deployment was so good. Anyway, I've got this, as you can see, some dogs, my monster, my Razor Tusk Chariot, my General's unit, the Minotaurs, Chariot, dogs, another monster. Nice and symmetrical. So he vanguards like that. I vanguard like that. And then we go to Highborn Elves turn 1. So turn 1, there's not a whole lot of shooting he can do at me. You can see he moves up hard on the left, and that's going to be tough. I think my Chariot either can't see him or he's far enough away that he's not really worried about it. I really don't need these guys hiding outside my flanks and available to come up and chaff me up later on in the game, because, and looking at my opponent's list, I mean, his Knights of Rima are okay, his Swordmasters certainly are killy, and his General's okay, but for the most part, his Phoenix is okay, but he doesn't have a ton of hitting power. He's got a fair amount of shooting power, though, so obviously I think he's going to want to whittle me down, and then, there's nothing left of my units, charge in and mop up the points. So, because I vanguarded up to where I was easily within range, he easily shoots and kills a bunch of dogs, because I'm smart like that. And we go to Beast Herds turn 1. So really, I just going to try to make it as fast as I can towards the corner of the board. The one dog rallies, which I thought was great. Let me think. Yeah, both my units of ambushers came on. I'm going to go forward one. So on the left flank, I brought this unit on because I wanted to do 40 throwing weapons at his fast cav. I need to kill them all, or at least force a panic and have them run, because if I kill all but one and he still sticks there, and then he can just, one fast cav is just as good as 5 fast cav, in some ways better. Now, the problem with this is that his Frost Phoenix is going to be able to charge me fairly easily, especially if he might have to move up one turn, but whatever. And so my thinking here is, if I can get rid of his fast cav, and then if I have to deal with that Frost Phoenix, if I can just do a wound or two to it, that may be what I just need to be happy with. Now going back to this picture, if you look at the top towards the right, I decided to bring my other unit of ambushing Wild Horns on there. So they can step on and do a bunch of shots at his Knights of Rima. If I'm lucky, I'll kill one. And other than that, it looks like I'm in kind of a threatening spot, but in hindsight, I'm really not, because all he has to do is turn his spearmen towards my guys, and all of a sudden my guys are away from general leadership and BSB, and just overall not in a good spot. So there's that. We go to shooting phase, and indeed I kill them all. That was very, very helpful. Over here, these guys kill one. It doesn't really affect anything, but sure, take it. I'll take it. So we go to Highborn Elves turn 2. He flies his eagle up, parks him right in front of my Minotaurs. So if I charge him, I have to overrun, and there's a chance I could get countercharged by, his Prince on a Young Dragon, his Sword Masters, and maybe even his Knights of Rima on the right. That big piece of terrain in the middle is ruins. In my head during the game, I kept on thinking of it as impassable, back and forth, but the truth of it is we were playing it as just ruins. Let's see. There's the left. We go to shooting, and he just rips through my Minotaurs. I think there's just nothing I can do except maybe just see the Minotaurs as the magnet for all the shooting and hope that everything else in my army can do everything else. The Minotaurs, actually, I'm not sure, are a fantastic matchup against the Sword Masters anyway. Against anything else, they probably would do okay. But it's going to get hard to get past the Sword Masters with these guys. So maybe it's just as well. Alright, so we go to Beast Herd's turn 2. I do not charge the Eagle with my Minotaurs. I charge with my General's unit instead. I reform the Minotaurs and step past them in a 2 wide. At this point, I'm not confident they're going to get into combat anywhere. And they're certainly not going to have that 5th model when they do, so I don't think that's going to really hurt me much. Yeah, you can see on the left he brought his Frost Phoenix up, and so my guys on the left just moved up. They're just going to shoot at it. If he charges me, they'll do a stand and shoot. Combined, that's 80 shots. I'm just hoping that 80 shots can weaken this guy a little bit so he can't just, terrorize my whole army. Yeah, so there's that. That eagle's going to be dead. We do a wound. I'm not going to complain. I mean, 2 or 5 would be better, but I'll take 1. And over here, we shoot at this unit. I was hoping to do enough to force a panic test, but I wasn't. I knew that wasn't likely. I killed some, no panic. He'll charge me, and I'll get a stand and shoot. And my hope is that then I'll be able to cause a panic. But again, I think it's highly unlikely. But at least the more I whittle him down, the better. When he charges me, that's when my guys are in the most trouble, just because of the static combat res. And after that, how we do in combat really just depends on if I can get my primal instinct off, and if he can get past my toughness. After combat, yeah, the eagle died fairly easily. And we go to Highborn Elves, turn 3. So if you look on the right, his Knights of Rima had moved up, and they charge. I want to say they charged one dog, and I fled, and then they just charged past him at my other unit of dogs. It's a real long charge. I stayed for it because in my mind, no matter what he does, my chariot's going to be able to countercharge. And to be honest, I thought he was going to fail it. So, or at least I thought there was a decent chance he would fail it. Otherwise, on the left, his Frost Phoenix does charge my Wild Horns. His Spearmen do charge my Wild Horns there on the top right. And otherwise, he's just kind of keeping back with his Prince under Dragon and with the Sword Masters. And then his archers, of course, are just shooting the daylights out of my guys. There's that. I wouldn't put money on winning that combat. There's that. That one could go either way, and yes, I am nervous. He positions his Phoenix very wisely on the right, so my guys, if I lose, are going to run off the board. I'm definitely going to be steadfast, but steadfast 7, leaves a lot to be desired. I didn't get the Blooded Horn Totem up, so at least I have an extra 4 attacks, and I don't remember if this thing has an armor save, but if it does, they pretty much negate it. We go to shooting. He kills another 2 Minotaurs. These guys are just toast. We go to combat. And I'll take it. I want to say that I didn't look at the pictures and count up the wounds, but he had a charge, and we swapped wounds back and forth. He won. I was not steadfast, and without leadership and reroll, my guy stuck, which really, really helps. Now, moving forward, I don't know. I don't know what the odds are here, but I'm kind of kicking myself because this unit isn't doing a whole lot. His spearmen don't scare the rest of my army, and my unit here, I need to be able to secure. I need this unit to be in his deployment zone, or else I need to get my general's unit or the Minotaurs there. After combat, my guys do another wound to the Frost Phoenix, but yeah, he chases him off the board. We go to Beast Herds, turn 3. Yeah, so if you look at the top left, I charged a Razor Tusk Chariot into his Queen's Guard. Very happy to do that. I'm certainly going to win. I think he's probably going to be steadfast. But if nothing else, he is not shooting me, and I think I win that eventually. Here on the right, he kills my dogs to a dog, and then my chariot charges him, and he flees. And it's so funny, it didn't occur to me that he would flee. I don't know why. I just didn't think about it. So in my mind, the good news is the Knights of Rima aren't going to threaten my army for the rest of the game, I don't think, because it'll be turn 4 when he rallies. He can move turn 5, and I doubt he can be anywhere significant by turn 6. My opponent, being smarter than me, was thinking ahead, and his plans for these guys are simply to get in my deployment zone. So if he rallies turn 4, he can easily, in 2 moves, just move down and get into my deployment zone. And so as long as he keeps me from being in his deployment zone, that's a good deal for him. Let's see, this combat I think goes my way this time. You look at how many guys he's missing. My guys, they passed Primal Instinct. They just did really, really well. And I won, and he stuck. And so we're just going to grind this out. And over here I did really well. I'm not complaining about it. He was steadfast and stuck. And when I said I'm not going to complain about it, I'm like, you know, I was okay with it. As long as they're in combat, they're not shooting me. If he had broken, that would have been just awesome. Highborn Elves turn 4. So really in the middle, he's just hanging out. He's looking at what's left of my Minotaurs, probably more importantly my 2 Gortak and then my general's unit. And I think he's worried about declaring charges and failing some and getting in with not enough. So, and he still has 2 units of archers that are still shooting me, so maybe he's thinking that he just wants to whittle me down a little bit more. The Frost Phoenix is behind me, which is not ideal. Although I don't fear it too much against any unit I have on the board. I mean, everything I have out there can hold its own in combat. His Knights of Rima rally, of course. I thought this was kind of funny. So his units, he's just like kind of bunching his units together, just pulling them back, pushing them together. Just like it looks like it'd be in a movie. Like they're getting surrounded by all these beasts, and they're just kind of huddling up, you know, yelling at each other to stay brave and just shoot and all that kind of stuff. And there's this. I took that picture, I think, just because it was such a pretty model. There are the Rima guys that rallied. And shooting kills another Minotaur. Go to magic, and he has the path of druidism, and he regrew. I let the regrowth spell go off, and I want to say it regrew 7 guys or something. And then my chariot went to town and killed a bunch of them, but at the end of the day, he was still steadfast. So now I'm thinking, okay, this chariot's not going to be able to do much if my opponent can just regrow stuff. And over here, these guys on both sides are just sticking it to each other and sticking around. Looking at it, my guess is I might have won that combat. I think he has the war standard in here. Yes, he does. So that is helping him in terms of who wins combat or not. But whatever way, we're both sticking around. And we go to Beast Herds turn 4. So really bummed on this one. I charged my Minotaurs into his... I declared to charge my Minotaurs into his Queen's Guard, and I have Swift Stride on those guys, and they failed it. Movement 6 with Swift Stride. They didn't need much on the dice, and they failed it. And that was huge. Huger than huge. I don't need the Minotaurs help in killing those things. I need the Minotaurs not where they are now. So pretty unhappy with that. I went ahead and put a Gortak in there as well. I just wanted overkill. I wanted my units freed up so I could start threatening the rest of his points that are huddling up there in the middle. And this guy's just a nice flank charge from his Sword Masters. After combat, I did this. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done it because the Sword Masters declare a charge against my chariot, and I have to flee because I think the overrun puts him into the flank of my Gortak that's at the bottom of the screen that's off the picture. So in hindsight, I should have seen that he would still be in their line of sight and should have overran. Oh, I couldn't overrun. That's right, because we just killed him. We killed him to a Queen's Guard. So my chariot had nothing to do except a turn. over here with a bloody battle. I finally beat those guys. I decided to go ahead and chase them and get the points, and I rolled as high as I possibly could without getting in line of sight of his general, which was great. Yeah, now if this had been on my opponent's turn, I would have loved to have gotten to that guy and then held him up on my turn and all that kind of stuff. Because then I could have moved forward a little more aggressively. Anyway, as it is, I'm very, very happy with that roll. Very happy. We got a Highborn Elves turn 5. He takes his Frost Phoenix into the flank of my general's unit. My general's on that corner, so I actually thought that was a mistake. But Frost Phoenix has some rule. I think you're -1 strength when attacking him, which makes them a lot more effective in something like this. If you look, his general on the right, top middle, I guess, is he has a breath weapon, so he's really focused on killing my wild horns, and he's focused now on making sure that he gets his Knights of Rima into my deployment zone and killing that unit of wild horns, and then holding up my general's unit, because my Minotaur's unit, as of now, got flanked by the Swordmasters. They're dead. If he can hold my general's unit up, then he's going to get the scenario objectives, which is a 3-point plus and minus. Kind of a big deal. There's my chariot fleeing. There's that, yeah. Those Minotaurs were gone since we started this game. And there's that. So, oh yeah, so then he moves his knights. When I saw this, I'm thinking, my dog of mine is rallying, and he's rallying on he needs a 3 or a 4 or something stupid. If that dog can rally, those knights don't have the movement to get around him and get in my deployment zone. I just need to rally the dog. We go to shooting, and the breath weapon from the dragon or whoever has it, and he gets this unit down to 2 models, and I pass my panic test. I couldn't believe it. Nice job, guys. The problem is my opponent has 1 more turn to shoot at him, and there's just nothing I can do. After combat here, my general was only able to put 1 wound on the Frost Phoenix. I was really kind of surprised by that. I think I actually lost combat, but we were stubborn on our 9 rerollable. We were fine, and I'm just kind of surprised. This didn't surprise me. He easily kills the Minotaurs. My instinct on this is always to charge the Gortak, because the Gortak is so good. My thinking was, however, that if I charge in, I'm going to win. But he's still going to do probably 4-ish wounds to me. And I haven't done the math even now, but my thinking at the time was he's going to do about 4-ish wounds. I'm going to kill a bunch of his guys. I'm going to win. He's going to be steadfast, and he's going to stick. And then he's going to kill me the next round of combat. So instead, I did this. So I lined up my chariot to countercharge the Frost Phoenix in case I need it, and I take, if you look at the top left, the Gortak, and I just don't charge. I pass my Frenzy, I pass my March, and I just move around those guys. I may not have passed my March, actually. That might be why I didn't move further. And my dog doesn't rally. Darn it. Then we go to combat, and my general decides, he's like, I've had enough of this, and he kills the Frost Phoenix, which forces a panic test on the Swordmasters, and they fail it. And they have to run away from the nearest enemy unit, which is my Gortak, and this is the Swordmasters fleeing. And oh my gosh, this is my turn. He's going to rally on his turn. If this was his turn and I could have immediately charged his fleeing unit with my chariot, I would have been so, so happy. But that wasn't meant to be, but I'm not complaining. His Swordmasters had nothing to do except charge my chariot on the far left. It was right at the edge of the board and had rallied. So this saves that chariot. So we got a Highborn Elves turn 6, and he flies his general up. He doesn't charge me. He flies him up to keep me from getting into his deployment zone. I could charge him, and if I won combat, I could overrun, and if I got lucky, that might take me there. But whatever, I was thinking that if I charge him, I think it's too easy for his general to survive. I don't think my general kills him. I think he very well might kill my general, and we're probably not going to break him. I decided I could have charged the Swordmasters front and back with my 2 chariots. I decided not to, because first off, if one fails, I'm really screwed. And I think even with both of them making it, I think I still lose one or both chariots. And the Swordmasters are steadfast and stick. If you look in the top left, he takes a small unit of archers, puts them right in front of my Gortak to protect his other units. I've got a Gortak on the hill that could have and should have charged something else on my opponent's turn, and I just thought I'd be clever and charge his archers first. My Gortak on the hill charging his archers in front of the other Gortak, hoping they fail a terror test and run off the board, freeing up the other Gortak to charge his BSB, and he's close enough to make it. Mine on the hill is far enough away I didn't think I would make anything else. Anyway, that's deployment zone. Darn it. What is this? Oh, his unit of archers shot my last 2 remaining wild horns, got me out of his deployment zone. His archers passed their panic test, their terror test, so I just charged him with both Gortak, easily got those points, and the game ends like that. That was a fun game to play. It was actually very strategic, even though a lot of my opponent's movement was very subtle. It was kind of shifting together, sliding in. It was really kind of fun to watch and fun to play against. It was very thoughtful. Ended up being a 10-10 tie, and then he got the scenario objective points, so he got a 13-7 win. I think he played the better game, so I think he deserved it. Anyway, that was a whole lot of fun. And the big thing that made me mad, I should say now, the unit of wild horns that I brought in the middle of the table that ended up getting in the fight with the spearman that whole time, I should have brought him in behind the house, if the top right of this picture, and just hit him from my opponent, and then just walked up into his deployment zone. That unit, I wasn't really worried about his spearman, and that unit didn't do anything for me the whole game, and they could have been in a position to guarantee me a unit in his deployment zone. Hindsight's 20/20. I know that when I'm going to actually engage in the battle, I want as many units as possible, so who knows. But that's what I was thinking later is I should have done, is just kept them safe and made sure I got the scenario. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.